Hi, this is Arik,
And Aurelia.
and we're here to talk about life and interesting things.
Oh, so we think, but the end, it's for you to decide.
Either way, what we have to talk about is
Ageless.
Hi, Aurelia.
Hi, Arik.
So, my first question is, why didn't you tell me that you're a program in the Matrix?
That is very, very funny. Well, I have several answers to that.
Well, because, like being the Oracle and all.
100%.
Do you already know if you're excited about the new Matrix movie that's coming out?
I'm 100% excited, and that would have been one of my answers. Like I would have said to our listeners, okay, so I can see where this question is coming from because we have, been catching up on Matrix 1, 2, 3 in preparation to the new one coming out next week.
And by
Yay!
and by catching up, you mean like watching it for the 10th time?
Yeah, or 11th or 12th. I mean, we have both watched it so many times. And
always learn something.
Always. And I mean, this time we really watched it with the Metaverse in mind, and it's really like mind blowing. So back to your question, why didn't I tell you? Because you didn't want to hear it.
You know why?
I told you many times, many, many years ago. No, we are all like binaries. We are just electrical current. Yes, no, yes, no. The age-old question. When does artificial intelligence become sentient?
Right. So that is a really interesting question, but before and if we get into that, let's just talk a little bit like why or how is the story of The Matrix, which I say is one of the greatest movies of our time, so relevant then, now, and in the future? Why is it so important? Or interesting, or...
I mean, once again, I can answer on many, many levels. Like, one level, speculatory would be...
of course.
Well, we have no idea if what we see there is not what's really going on.
Right.
I mean, there is like no way, because all we know is our mind trapped here in this illusionary world. Like no one in the Matrix, other than the ones that have their minds freed, know that they are just there to produce energy.
Right, and so for anyone who hasn't seen The Matrix, without any spoilers, it's, of course, there's this quote-unquote illusionary generated world, which is very akin to the metaverse or the internet, like where you can live in and experience things. And so we don't know if it, like what we're experiencing now is a simulation, which we know is a simulation of patterns. I mean, that we just know. It's a simulation of archetypes and, our perceptions and our projections. Like if we just tie it in with the Cylons from Battlestar Galactica, we know that this is an illusionary world, but it still has so much power over the minds, like you said, that are like locked into it.
I mean, of course, movie buffs as we are, we talk about The Matrix and about Battlestar Galactica, but if we bring it down a little bit more to earth, we can say that, all great religions say the same thing. If you are like a Hindu, you talk about Maya, I guess, or Buddhist samsara, or Jewish, the 99%
Malhut.
and Malhut, and like all of these things. I'm sure the Catholics are there somewhere. And
like purgatory, more or less, or something like that. Yeah.
So, like, everybody tries to tell us that this is just an illusion without anybody really showing us what the non-illusionary world looks like. And, it's like, once again, without any spoilers, what the Matrix tells us, it's a world of light. But to get there,
nice.
You have to really go through many, 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 many stages in order to be able to see that. And you have to give up many things. And I mean, just basically what we always say. But
and if I'm wrong, then I made a mistake. You can do what you want with me.
Yeah.
It was just a quote. But it's interesting because I reference the Matrix a lot, obviously with Zodiac hacks and a lot of the things that I write. And then the 2021 forecast, I referenced the Matrix, and I didn't even know a new one was coming out. So when I saw that, I got really excited, and then I saw that it was coming out on the winter solstice, which is 12/22 2021, so like the numbers mirror each other, and it's really intense because the summer solstice is when we start the winter solstice is when we begin Capricorn season, and Capricorn is the zodiac sign of illusion.
Wow, yeah, I didn't think of it that way. That's of course true.
So it's kind of like showing the illusions.
Yeah, because it's also the sign of the world that we live in.
The archetype that rules over Capricorn is Saturn, which is the world. But the cool thing is that, I mean, ideally you can create your world, or it will be created for you. Right?
100%. And so there you could say, you always create your world, even if it's been created for you, because you create it by hanging on to your patterns or allowing your patterns to run wild. And that's also something that we always truly enjoy in watching The Matrix, like the old programs that are really no longer needed, that should be deleted, but prefer to live in exile, and from there they may or may not create havoc on what's going on.
This took me many times to watch, before I could really understand it, because the first time I encountered The Matrix, just some friends dragged me into the movies, and I had no idea what I was getting into. I just thought, okay, yeah, going to the movies, this is fun, And my mouth, as soon as I saw the code falling down on the screen, my mouth opened, and I don't think it shut until, I can't even remember. I think it's still just open, watching this. And then I watched the first one, so then it gave me context for the second one.
You watched the second one?
I watched the second one first because I didn't know it was, I didn't know it was a thing. And so then I watched the first one, then the second one, then I was so excited when the third one came out, and I just watched them over and over and over again until I understood more. And it took me a while to understand this whole bit about the programs that you're talking about. And even now talking about it, I realize that these programs...
This is our program that we call Seiya, the Shiba Inu.
That's right. She's totally our little program dog here. And she's, on the outside looking in. I don't know why. But anyhow, it's these... The programs, I think she wants her little pineapple, but...
I have to open her door because otherwise she won't stop.
But the thing is, the door is open.
But not enough for her, because this program is a big manipulator.
You think so? Mm-hmm. Well, then it must be working, because I'm not even aware of that.
That's funny.
Yeah, go ahead, open the door. But it's interesting because I realize that these programs, yes, of course, they can be externalized, like these programs that go out of date or that they lose their purpose, that then they have to be deleted, right? And if they're not successfully deleted, then they try to ensure their survival, and they become like, the Oracle says, werewolves or ghosts or or anything that, or zombies or
patterns
that then try to assimilate into the matrix or like the metaverse, so that they can still live without being deleted. But I can also see that as a metaphor, that these can be like programs or patterns within us.
Yes.
That then we don't dump them out. Like, for example, on the full moon is a good time to dump out these patterns. But if we don't do them, then they become like these weird quirks. Like weird quirks that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Like tics and obsessive compulsive kind of things, like just weird things that people do.
Mm-hmm.
These are like patterns that have not been deleted, or
these are programs running us. Mm-hmm. Like we're acting out that should have been deleted a long time ago, but that are still there, that we allow for them to live in exile. Like, for example, you have gone to therapy like 20 years of your life, and you know all the patterns. I mean, and you know them so well.
Yeah.
It's almost, like they've become your best friends, but you do not delete them.
Right.
You allow them to live there in a shadow world. Mm-hmm. And they come up whenever something is there to threaten them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it becomes part of the mosaic of our identity.
Yes.
I know that sometimes when we're getting close to kind of dismantling this mosaic, it's like, well, don't mess with this pattern within me, because it identifies, I identify with it. And if you take this issue that I have away from me, then who am I?
That's right.
Asks Mr. Smith.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Has to be, I have to assimilate into everything. Mm-hmm. Injecting myself into everything rather than deleting the parts that are not me.
Yes.
That means that then I contaminate other things with patterns that I have not resolved.
Yeah.
Because could you then say that technically? Like, if you're not, I mean, this is kind of intense here, but like, if you're not resolving a pattern within you, then in a way, like, you're kind of spreading that pattern to other people.
100%.
That's horrible.
Because, you're projecting that everywhere. And, I mean, we know that we say the world is a reflection of ourselves. And so, of course, what we see, is what we project. And what we project are all the parts of us that are unresolved. And so that's all we see.
Mm-hmm. Right. So then we're projecting our patterns onto others.
Yeah, and then this is the world we experience it. And this is why, another one of those things that have been driving me, actually, since I can remember, the idea that now we both look at this cup, because I'm drinking a cup of coffee, and this is, for me, a white porcelain cup. Mm-hmm. I will never know what Arik sees. Never. Mm-hmm. There's just no way. If what I see when I look at that thing that we both define as a cup is even similar to what it is that he sees. Mm-hmm. And there is this amazing show that I started to watch years ago, Brain Games, where it shows, that every brain has its auto-completion. And that's the projection of the things we know. And these are the patterns acting out.
Right. Completely changing the perception of this and that. However, then, would you say then, is the consensus reality the programmed matrix?
Yes. This is the consensus reality.
That is a porcelain cup, whether I perceive it or not.
Yes, that's right. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly
so my filters and my projections and my perceptions, they can completely, lock me into this, matrix, Malhut, Samsara, Maya, purgatory, whatever it is, hell, or I'm not attached to them, and it's like I know that this is what the code says or what the consensus reality says, but I also know that it's not
solid.
It's not everything.
Yeah, and it's not solid. Mostly.
It's just light.
Because we said it's light. It's like these electrical currents that flow and do not flow. Like that's what it is. And the rest is what our patterns, conscious or unconscious, make of it. And I do not know whether, you remember like one of my, workshops or classes that I taught was when we were disappearing the chair.
Right. To kind of just show how things are also what you call transitory.
Yes, that's right. And that things do exist through our projection. And this is then what we call the consensus reality. I mean, in that workshop we said, okay, like this shape, this form that I see, we call this a chair. Now, once again, like we call this a cup. Now, what you see and what I see, we do not know. But the consensus is it's a cup, it's white, we both like it. We think it is very classy, and we enjoy drinking out of this cup.
Yeah.
That's what our consent is. Like we said, we can agree upon that. And so the whole matrix reality that we live in is technically this consensus reality.
Yes.
We all just agree that this illusionary thing, this program that's running, that we make it real.
Right. And whether we perceive it accurately or not is depending on our level of
consciousness and
refinement.
Awareness. Yes. That's right. Because like for Saya, for example, I mean, as much as we love her, she's still a dog, and therefore her refinement of fine porcelain cups is really not there. For her, it's not about the cup. For her, it's about, what's in the cup. Like, is it edible? Is it drinkable? Is it yummy for me? Or something like that. So she will not perceive the cup.
Saya and the likes.
Yes. Of course. Like in terms of what you said, like refinement.
It's very interesting. Another kind of big topic that's presented in the Matrix stories is the symbiotic relationship between man and machine.
Yes, one of my favorite topics.
We could probably do a whole season on that.
We probably should.
But
get back to that.
in a shell nut or in a nutshell, it's like if we didn't have the machine, we wouldn't be able to do the podcast right now.
That's right.
So technically we could unplug ourselves, but then like the one scene with the senator, he says, well, if we unplug everything, then we have to think about our heat and our water supply and our electricity. I mean, yeah, you can survive like that, but what kind of life is that?
In Stone Age.
It's like we are dependent on machines, and machines are also dependent on us, or no? Or not yet? Or shouldn't ask that question?
Well, you can ask the question, and it depends on what you call machine dependency. I mean, if we...
What do you call machine?
Exactly. If we go like all the way to say everything that is plus and minus, like
binaries,
electricity flows, and it doesn't flow, is has some sort of life, whether it's self-aware or not. And this is what we said, when does a machine become sentient, which just means, some form of self-awareness. But if, let's say, we are here, and artificial intelligence is really a good example for it, like if we shut the machine off, then that process is done. And so in that sense, the machine is dependent on us to let it run.
Yeah, but why would it be dependent on us? I guess for its purpose.
Yeah.
Like, it needs to have its purpose. Well, here's a real interesting question that just came up because I was preparing the horoscope for the final full moon of 2021, and the, like, on the surface, the article is really about this, exactly kind of like what you just said, is the flow of life. Like this electricity,
yeah.
you know, that if it can't flow through you, it will remove the blockages that are blocking that flow.
I can see that.
So the flow of life, it will, if it can't flow through you, then it's going to flow to those points, those blockages, and eventually dissolve them.
Yeah.
And within a machine, like, if, you know, let's just use the famous issue with the printer. I'm sure everyone has had issues with printers before, no matter whether it's uploading, printing, scanning, work it, turk it, you know, whatever, fix it, scan it, you know. It's like there's a glitch, so the flow of electricity will keep going, but the machine will not be able to perform, or the person will not be able to perform until that glitch is gone.
Yeah.
Or the performance will be inadequate. And that's kind of like what we're doing, like with this last full moon of the year. It's kind of like blowing out these last glitches within us so that we can perform better, especially going into the new year. So I think it's really interesting what you said about, like, the flow of electricity.
And I have to tell everybody who, you know, does not know Arik in person, which, you know, probably most of us, or most of you, he has this gift. Like, he kind of is, you know, if there's a horse whisperer, you probably know what that is, or a dog whisperer. He is a machine whisperer. You have no idea how often, like, some device is not working, and I say, can you please come and put your hand on it? And he does, and then it works. It's unbelievable, uncanny, you would say. It is, and to me it has become second nature. It's like he has this gift. It's a Uranian quality. We call it like a Uranus quality. And he just knows how to do that, which means, like, somehow he can, his binary programming or his code can get in touch with this machine code, getting back to the Matrix, like what Neo is doing, you know, and to, like, transfer something that makes the machine work better. I know it's so far out what we're talking today, but I mean, I can't help it.
Yeah, I'm speechless. I mean, I only know that just on everyone's reaction. So I used to, I mean, since I was little, I mean, because I was really blessed with being surrounded by a lot of technology, like with my grandpa and everything, and everyone in my family always had, like, the latest technology, and I don't know, I would just always play with it, and, you know, things from Japan or whatever at that time, and then when I was working at Apple, and this is really, I don't know if I said this ever publicly, but when people would come in with certain issues with their computer, I would, you know, people just start talking to you when you're working on, I don't know, like with hairstylists even, or just bartenders, or you're working on these people's personal, intimate devices.
Yes.
And then they start just opening up. And you can see, at least my experience was like that the issues that were with the phone or the computer or whatever was really reflecting the issues that they were having. Hence, vis-a-vis, again, the Matrix.
Yeah.
Right, the pattern is rendering within the peripherals,
yes.
which is third
Wow.
house, you know, technology, communication.
Yeah.
And communication is through the chakras.
Yes.
So it's the energy flowing through, where's the blockage. So you can always know what's wrong with you just by what's wrong with your phone. Which is a scary thought.
Yeah.
But it's also true. You know, but it's how you use the information. And it was oftentimes, and I'm sure so many people have experienced that too, that where then people would bring it to me, and then instantly the issue, the problem would just vanish. And they'd be like, oh my God, you know, like I've taken this to so many other people, and then all of a sudden, and I mean, I really wasn't like a conscious thing other than the intention to fix it.
Yes.
You know, like I wanted to fix it, I wanted to help fix it, and then I would get right into it, and as soon as I would touch it, I mean, I would see the issue would resolve itself. On the other hand, when I'd come across issues that were not easily fixable, I have worked with senior level engineers in Apple who have actually just sent me stuff because the errors that I would reveal.
I'm witness to that.
You know, and this was intense. So, and anyhow, I guess I'm just really being open here about this. Last night I had this dream. I had this dream, and that I was like in this chamber, and the person said, or whatever it was, the angel said, "What's your superpower? We're gonna give you a superpower, but you have to know what it is." And I was like, man, it's like I have so many ideas of what my superpower should be and what I want it to be and all these things. And there were a few, but one that I want to share is, it said, okay, you're a healer. And I was like, yeah, but this is so passive, you know, like how can I use this to, and then it's like, oh, you can heal others. Oh, and that of course includes the technology.
Yeah, any code there is, getting back to, you know, our original thing, are we all programs, or why did I never tell you that I'm a program?
Why didn't you ever tell me you were a program?
So, of course, you know, healing is to make something whole, like going back to what you said, like the light will always flow until an issue is resolved, like the energy will always flow until an issue is resolved. And now with our combined programs that make up our personality and who we are and everything, then sadly often it is like this. If there was a blockage for a long time, or many blockages, and all of a sudden, you know, it flows through, our physical vessel cannot take it. It's like
short circuit.
If you short circuit,
you blow
like
fuse
with any device, and then if all of a sudden, like you have a 110 volt American device, and then you plug it into a 220 volt here in Europe, then the device will just burn out.
Yeah.
And so you need like transformers, and you need this and you need that, like little by little, or you need to change the device until it's able to take more currency. And this is the same with our physical body. Going back to the idea that we are no different. We are also just like this hardware, like you say in your book. Like this is like exactly
the first two chapters.
What you said are just about, you know, our hardware and firmware and software.
Yeah.
And so we have to keep continuously working on that.
Yeah.
If we want to make sure, you know, that we don't burn out.
Yeah. The short circuit.
Yes.
Which can happen in many ways, which we talk and write about all the time.
Yes. And I know, you guys, I can just see some of you here sitting there listening to us and say, oh gosh, you know, I used to like Ageless, but, you know, today that's really too far out for me. That's sad. If you have that feeling that this is far out, then I don't know, then you should start over with listening, because it's really not far out. Or you can study philosophies or religions. Like I said in the beginning, it's all there.
Yeah, because I mean, this is also with the metaverse and everything that's being slowly but surely onboarded. So it's definitely relevant and a necessary step.
Yes.
Of what's coming. So anyhow, talking more about this later. Hope you enjoyed it. Please let us know how you enjoyed it if you want. If you dare.
Even if you didn't enjoy it, we would like to know. And as always, if you have questions, please post them. We really do our best to answer them in future podcasts.
We will answer when you're ready to hear the answer. Thank you so much, you guys. This has been Arik
and Aurelia.
And you've just listened to an episode of
Ageless.
Saying goodbye. Like, subscribe, send it to someone in your reality who needs it. Bye.